What's up, everybody? Welcome to our first episode of Christmas in July.
The 12 days of Christmas.
Absolutely. We're going to be talking about 12 different topics throughout the month of July as little presents all month long. So you're going to want to join us and dig right in and watch our webinar all about today, a brand identity. So let's get started.
Let's do it. All right. So when we talk a brand identity, we're talking so much more than just a logo. And especially in the trades industry, they think it's a logo and a truck wrap and like that's it. But when we're talking about a brand identity and really creating a full-on brand, it encompasses the tone, the voice, the personality of the company, and just figuring out how to actually illustrate that personality of the company through colors, through typography, through a character or a mascot, maybe not. But there's tons of different tones that can be emulated and illustrated. And that's what the job of us developing a brand identity is for.
Yeah, I was telling Emily I was telling you before we came in here, I talked to a client today who was like, man, I know what I want. I just don't know how to do it. And what people really don't know how to do is thread the actual brand throughout everything. So
Correct.
Okay, I got this mascot and I'm like, yes, okay, now, but what do we say around the mascot and when do we say it and how do we say it? And that's how you build an identity. A lot of people can have a logo, but I mean, this customer, they have a logo. Good as a stretch.
Well, sure. I mean, and I would say everyone on this call has a logo. Like it probably appeared in some way. Like you went to Office Depot to get business cards printed and that they just stuck something on it because like they had to, or like somebody's cousin or someone made something in Canva.
Jim's heating and air conditioning.
Yeah, I didn't see anything wrong with it, so I just went with it. But there's so much more layers and levels and opportunity for storytelling. So even if you have a character, something like, what is it named? Like we're talking with a client, they're like, it's named Charlie. I'm like, well, what does that mean? They're like, we don't know. We just thought it was a cute name, but doesn't like have.
Someone told me to do it. That's what I get lately. Someone told me I needed a lizard mascot. I'm like, okay, what does a lizard mean to you?
Yeah, we don't have lizards where we live. We don't like lizards, and then we named it Charlie.
I don't like a lizard.
There's no alliteration, there's no meaning behind it. But again, you've got to tell a story. Storytelling is the oldest commodity and business model since the beginning of time. Like everything passed on, history has been told through stories. And like the whole entertainment business is storytelling through movies, Netflix, books, everything. And so you can look for ways and opportunities to tell stories in your brand identity. So does the name have a meaning? Can you associate it to a grandfather, some certain heritage?
Authenticity.
Correct. Being authentic. That's 100% it. So you just have to be intentional to look for ways of how can I tell stories, even in your core values. So like at Lemon Seed, I'm super proud of our core values because it's a perfect brand extension. So our core values are zesty.
Yeah, and it's internal.
Correct.
Like it's not even external, but it goes so deep into everything that we do. And this is why, even right now, people literally every day, people are like, we love y'all's brand. We love the brand. And it's a fantastic look from the start, but then we have literally had to live it. We try. I'm terrible at it. Emily's much better at it, but we live in yellow. Everything we do is yellow. Our kids, you had that little gift that your daughter made. Our kids are always like, friends, family bring us lemon things because to them, when they see lemons, they think of us.
Right.
So you know what? We win. We win this game. And that's the thing. Like people get real caught up. Well, but like people have known me as Jim's Heating and Air Conditioning for 20 years. Sir, they don't really. They know you, the person, but they don't know your brand.
Correct. And like, do you have a company that's much bigger than just yourself? Probably, hopefully you're beyond just a chuck in a truck or just a gym in a truck, to where how can your team embody what this company stands for and not always be expecting Jim to go out on every single call. And so when you can build that persona of, hey, we are extremely professional, but hey, we still have fun, or hey, we have some personality and life and spunk. Like we have maybe like a younger 30-year-old team that like it looks exciting for them to come work there. Like there's several home service social media companies that we follow to where I'm like, that attracts a certain type of employee. And like those people that are that vibe, like they love it and they own it and they feel a part of something. But you've got to tell whatever that message and that personality is and not just letting it be haphazard.
And like overly corporatizing your brand can
Mm.
also be detrimental because don't get me wrong, there's a difference in being fun and being professional.
Yeah.
And there is a good combo, right, of being professionally fun. But again, this is about an identity. And I want you to like really think about this because many of you need to take a long, hard look at like what your company looks like from the outside. Remember, you're on
Mhm.
the inside, but on the outside, and think of every touch point. So what do your vans look like? Your uniforms look like? What does your building look like?
Mm.
What does if you've got banners hanging up at the baseball field from 1997, what do they look like? And have you had the same logo, no modifications, no just freshening and sprucing up in more than 5 years? It's time.
Well, you can start to look outdated. You can start to look irrelevant. And so people can also assume that of like the way you present and the way you look, I could already start to assume that like is this going to be the most efficient? Like is this the most up-to-date technology that you're about to install or as you're trying to persuade me or get me to, buy a better system, so I'm like are you really the expert? Like you just look uh, like
Yeah.
you're just there. So you have to present with expertise, present with intentionality, and it builds trust when you do that.
Yeah. And, authenticity, trust, people are craving those things right now. In a world where we don't know what's true and what's not true, right now, AI can create you all kinds of cool things. But what it can't really do is discover from you sometimes who you really are and the authentic side of it. And then there's all kinds of other things wrong when you get an AI image, like
Yeah.
your ability to actually use it on things. But again, outside of that, like it takes discovery. And so I think honestly, a lot of you probably need, if not a complete rebranding, meaning like complete, just get a real name, do everything. Most of us, and Lemon Seed will have to go through this our own selves at some point, but most of us could look and be like, we need a refresh and not a little janky pants. Throw me a logo and give me a van wrap. I'm talking about truly sit down, see where, if you are where you want to be, what do you want? What feelings do you want to convey, evoke? What kind of feelings do you want to evoke? All of those things come into play here. And then how do you GTM? How do you go to market effectively? Or are you going to take this nice, pretty brand and shove it in a desk drawer after you spent $25,000 on it?
Well, and like I'll even say, like this sign behind us was one of our very first things that we built here at Lemon Seed. And so you'll see a lot of the grays, like with the lemon seed yellow, and like a lot of like photographic things in there. And like we've slowly evolved. So like we haven't changed our logo itself, but like the imagery and the backgrounds and stuff that we've modified since then, like we've gone a lot more bright. We've gone a lot more like icon style to our assets versus like photographic things. And so like even we have evolved the overall brand itself again just to appear more relevant and more reflective to us than how we kind of initially thought. And we did all that without changing the actual logo, but we freshened up our identity in some different ways. And so there are ways of how you can just simply refresh, stay relevant, give a fresh little kick in the pants without having to completely start over from scratch.
Yeah, let's talk about a little bit what it looks like. So this is with Lemon Seed. We don't know about other companies. We're not worried about this is what happens with Lemon Seed, right? What happens is a good old fashioned discovery call.
Oh, we start with that? Imagine that.
And that's literally like, who do you want to be?
Correct.
Listen, Emily built our brand. Okay. We got to build a company with a brand, but this is your company. But at the same time, you're hiring professionals because especially graphic designers, they have this skill set of things that we do not, things you don't even know you don't have, friends. You don't even know you don't have it. But like color theory and fonts and hierarchy and stuff, that's not your role. Your role as the owner contractor is to give a vision for what you're looking for. You don't even have to be good at that part, but like, I want something nostalgic that feels homey. I mean, all of those, that's fine. That's fine. And then designers have the ability to go bring this to life. So that discovery call, but it does dig a little deep. Like, why'd you start your company? Who started it? What was your relationship with those people? And y'all, whether you bought it from somebody that you just knew down the street, you saw it for sale and you bought it, your grandfather, you're on the 10th, session of family members that own it, or, you were going to give it to your kids and now you've decided to keep it. You've been in business 3 months, 3 years, 30 years. Everybody needs to go through a discovery call.
No, I mean, it's truly like soul searching. And I say as graphic designers, like 50% of our job is mind reading. So, like, again, in that discovery call, I'm like, okay, figuring out like what are they really trying to say here? So, like, they can't articulate, I want it in this font with this hex code for the colors. No, they can't tell that. But when you can say what is important to you, what you and your company value, what you guys stand for, we can, that's then our job to illustrate and articulate that, not being like, here's this design we whipped up. Do you want this one or this one? Like these brands are sitting on a shelf here. Like Lemon will never do that because we believe that brands should tell your story. They should be authentic to you and not just a pretty little design that we mocked up and said, this one right here, here you go. And we come across so many people that unfortunately that has happened to them.
Oh, I mean, literally, we signed a new client last month or this month. And I was like, oh my gosh, because listen, it's cute. The brand is cute and cute. The brand is successful. I'm like, this is going to be good. There's so many opportunities here.
Yeah, unique.
And then I'm like, so tell me about it. And he's like, I mean, there it is. And I'm like, yeah, but like, did you like this? And he's like, I mean, not really. But really what it boiled down to is they said, this is what you're going to go with. And again, this is not just one company in the industry either. This is lots of companies that basically, I think they try. If I had to default to good here, I think people try. But what happens is some of you are so determined that you know better about what the community is going to want and what people want because you are the best way to run a good idea is by committee.
Oh gosh.
Okay, because you're taught to think that disruption is a wild thing, like you're going rogue, you're gonna be the black sheep of the community, when really if I was called Crystal's Heating and Air, okay, and I had a snowflake and a sunshine, I mean, there's so many more unique things about me, about my family, about my kids, about my dogs, about my church, about my faith. I mean, all these things that could really evoke even a made up name, you know, I mean, some cool things if you can just loosen that about yourself, right? So after the discovery call, what's the next thing you guys do with them?
Then we really try to come up with some initial concepts. So like, hey, you know, this piece was really important to you. So like, we were helping a company come up with a name and they said like resiliency is something that's very important to us. And so we're like, okay, like, and they're again, brand story of like what truly matters to them was a story of resiliency. It's not the, hey, we opened up our doors in this date in this town with these services. That's not a brand story. That's a timeline, but a brand story is that story of resiliency. So we help them name the company after that and how they stand strong and they stand tall for that. And so like that curated that. We had another client that said, hey, like, one of our core values is to be persistent and perseverance. And so we actually, through that, helped them come up with a buffalo as their mascot because buffaloes run through the storm and stuff. So depending on what those core values and what is important to you, we come up with 3 initial different concepts to how can that actually illustrate that. So giving you 3 different looks from there. We try to give you very different styles, different colors, different fonts, but try to cast the big picture vision of, hey, if you went with a buffalo, this is what you could do with it. This is what we could name it. This is what you could name your maintenance club. Here's how you could do community support. Here's how you could have swag items. If you went with this concept, here's different things that you could do with this. So we really try to cast the vision from these different concepts that we present you with in your first round.
Well, and that first round is literally for you to start seeing it in action. You need to see your name written other ways.
Sure. Yeah.
And you need to see it. Like, I'm very visual. Like, you can try to tell me all kinds of stuff.
Most people are.
Yeah. And I mean, and honestly, it makes it more real to me. Like, could I do a flamingo? Like, how did I feel when I saw the flamingo or whatever it is, you know? And listen, mascots are not always where you end up.
Sure.
Mascots are a strategy. And so strategically thinking, some people come to us excited about a mascot. Some people come to us petrified. We're going to tell them to go with a mascot. All we're trying to do is bring a brand to life because Emily's team designs it. And then this team over here has to go do it forever, right? Your forever team, as we call it, has to go implement that brand. And so that's good. And then you end up with the shakedown basically of like, you know, I really love the font of number 1, but I love the colors of number 3. And then designers just work their magic. And then you end up with a logo that is your forever logo, or what we, your final logo. And then we start building out the collateral pieces.
Yeah. So our goal at Lemon Seed is to truly set you up with everything you need to really launch this new brand and launch with a bang. So, vehicle wrap designs, all the print collaterals, whether it's business cards, yard signs, apparel, anything like that. We give you all of those assets as part of your package. They're not additional add-ons where you got to tack on every little piece. So then we help you develop a launch plan to where, like, here's how you can really go to market. Here would be our mass media strategy. Here's going to be our launch date. We think you should host a party, invite the Chamber of Commerce, do a ribbon cutting. Like, we kind of come up with all of these different ideas to, again, make it a big shebang, create buzz and excitement, get people excited to come to your door, give them a cookie and give them a stress ball or whatever little fun swag thing. Yes.
Be kind.
Show that, like, your company is alive and, like, hey, we're here in this community and our team members, we live here. Like, we're doing great things. Sometimes you just got to tell that story. Yeah. But when it's so boring and bland and you're just trying to blend in, you're doing exactly that. You're blending in and no one is noticing you.
Yeah. No one. And you just get lost in the shuffle. So you can have a great, most of y'all, the majority of y'all are great people and great operators. You run a good business, but a lot of you blend in, and thankfully, because listen, our clients stand out, and that's just the difference. Like, I'm thankful that not everybody adopts really into branding. It's because it helps the ones that do focus on branding. I made a post actually on social media that was like, listen, if you'll run your race, you'll get across the finish line. But it's when you keep looking around at what everybody else is doing, or what everybody else thinks
on their different paths.
You're going to have mad customers. You're going to be more expensive. Somebody's going to say you're crappy. People are going to do stuff. You just have to be authentic to yourself, do you, and live the best that you can live. So, a strong identity builds a lot of trust before you've ever entered the home. Social media, radio or TV advertising, jingles, community events, yard signs, all of those things, van wraps, your people, your uniforms, all of those things are truly how people really get to know who you are.
Well, and I would say, like, I'll share this story. So my aunt moved cross country from California to Tennessee during the great California exodus. And so she knew, she was brand new to the area, didn't know anyone. And she asked me, she's like, hey, do you have any clients? They need some HVAC work done. So do you have any clients here in our area in Tennessee? I was like, well, actually, I do know this company. She goes, she had seen them. They were a very large company. She had seen, she goes, they look so cheap. Do they know what they're talking about? And I'm like, she does not know them from Adam. She has not read a single Google review. She doesn't know anyone else in the area, but that visual identity, she already had a expectation of what working with them was going to be like, when in reality, they are fantastic operators. They do great things. They have a very growing and successful company, but their visual identity looked that they were cheap and that they didn't know what they were talking about. They looked inexperienced, and she wasn't willing to go through that. Like, she's like, I have a problem. I want it fixed now. And even though I know they could have fixed her problem, she had that perception just by how they looked. And so that's why it really saddens me when people don't give enough value to their identity and realize how much impact it has, because in reality, she never called that company. So they never got to know that they missed out on that call.
And that's you only get one time to make a first impression. And
correct.
That's what happened.
And you don't even know about the first impression. You think it starts at the CSR, but it starts well before that, because what made them call your CSR first? And so that's where I can't stress enough how your persona, the identity, sets the expectations of what it's like working with you. And so many people are sleeping on that and being lazy and safe with it. And it just, that's why you should call Lemon Seed, so we can fix that for you. So.
Well, listen, and if it's not Lemon Seed, we just encourage you to look at your brand as a whole. We would love to work with you. We feel like we are one of the most collaborative branding partners in the space right now. And that's for everyone. Pest control, roofing. We can rebrand. Honestly, we can rebrand any home service company. And we would love an opportunity to talk to you about it. But in the meantime, check yourself. Check your brand. What's on social media? What's on your website? What does your postcards look like? Your team, your vans, everything. Double check your brand to make sure that you're protecting it. So thank you for listening to day 1 of the 12 days of Christmas with Lemon Seed Marketing. Make sure you catch us for day 2.
Ho, ho, ho.